Welcome back to Chonsey's perspective of education. What up, though? Education is in a great place. It's in a good place. This is episode 2. Today I am interviewing Danielle Copeland, the GOAT, the educational genius, my mentor, my inspiration. Education is in a good place because my mom is still running it. Let's go. All right, Mom, tell me your journey in school. How has this experience shaped how you navigate life and your career?
Well, my experience in school was a little different than I think the average child because I lived in inner city Detroit, and my mom pursued a new career in daycare with my aunt. They opened a group daycare together, and it was in Southfield, and Southfield was one of the more predominant areas, so my mother felt that I could get a better education in Southfield schools. So being from Detroit, living in that environment and that culture, to switch over to such a diverse culture with different ethnicities was very different for me. So just that transition of going back and forth as I got older and progressed in school, I really liked going to Southfield schools and going to school with people of different races, ethnicity, culture, because I learned from them, I grew from them, and then would come back home to where it was more confined just to one thing. So to be able to have that experience and switch back and forth to where I would come home to where there was block parties and neighbors and that unity that I didn't have in Southfield, but then I got things in Southfield that I didn't get in Detroit. Just exposed to a different lifestyle. So, but as I grew, I found that sometimes because I was from the city and I grew up in this culture and where we celebrated everything and we did everything together, to go to Southfield schools where things were different, I start feeling like I didn't really fit in at Southfield because I was this black girl from Detroit immersed in this culture and trying to fit in Southfield. But because I grew up in the Southfield schools, I dressed different, I looked different, I talked different. So then when I transitioned to a Detroit public high school in the 11th grade, I felt that I didn't fit in there because I had adapted to the culture from Southfield schools.
Right.
So it was a struggle trying to fit in. I felt like I was the Detroit city girl trying to fit in Southfield, but then I transitioned to a Detroit public school, so now I feel like I'm this Southfield girl because I went to Southfield schools from 1st grade to 11th. So that's a long time to be immersed with white people, black people, Hispanic, Asian, all cultures, all religions, all background, and we were taught to speak differently. And so at Mumford they would say, "Oh, she talks white." How is a proper language referred to as white? Or she dresses like a white girl because I had more of a preppier style because that's how they dressed in Southfield. So, it just kind of I struggled a little bit trying to figure out where I fit in, but all of those things later came into fruition. So, I wouldn't change anything. I don't regret anything. My mom did what she thought was best for me. And it was a great experience. You know, school was easy for me. I always had good grades, never really had to study. You know, I was an athlete. I ran track. I played basketball. So I tried to be involved in everything that I could and grow and take advantage of the opportunities that my mom felt that a Detroit public school couldn't offer me.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So tell me a little bit more about, like, how does that experience kind of create like resilience or grit, or how has that inspired you to become the educator that you've been along your journey?
So my mom, watching her and her grind and her hustle and to go back to school and get her degree in early childhood development, I saw that it was never too late. Mm-hmm. I saw that through hard work that you could own your own business. She was one of the first Black women to own her own business in the city of Detroit and have a group daycare center in our basement. So all of those things, her journey just inspired me to want to be in education. I didn't necessarily want my own daycare center, but I wanted to work with children and family and parents, and that's where it started, you know. And so, like I said earlier, all of those things that I experienced in high school now come to fruition because here I am in Arizona with all of this diversity and culture that my mom immersed me into in Southfield. Now I can use that. I can relate to these students. That's why the students are drawn to me, and I can understand them, and I can guide them, and I can advise them because I've had these experiences in high school. But when I was in it, I didn't understand where I was going to go with this. Now I see that, you know, this was all part of my mother's plan, God's mm-hmm. plan for me, and a part of my journey to be able to understand and to relate. You know, I don't necessarily see, you know, differences in the children. I love them all. Mm-hmm. And they see that, and they know that, and they feel that. So they're drawn to me to have these conversations. And I love that because the other kids will tell them, go see Miss Danielle, go talk to Miss Danielle for anything. And so I love that. I just love working with the children. I love working with the parents. I stay involved as much as I can. And now I'm in my comfort zone because I was immersed in that for 10 years, from first grade to the 11th grade. And now I see why, you know, so that mm-hmm. all grounded me, that laid the foundation for who I am now to stand on, to be a counselor, a mentor, an advisor for students, for families. I have parents that call and want to only speak to me because they know that I care. They know that I'm going to do the things that need to be done so that they feel heard with their problems or their issues. So I think, you know, just all of that just laid the foundation for who I am today. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you don't know that when you go through those experiences younger. You ask yourself why, but now I know why. Yeah. You know, that struggle of trying to figure out who I am and going from one culture to another culture, from, you know, being in the inner city Detroit, going to a ritzy high school. Now I see why. To mm-hmm. be able to transition and how I'm able to be who I am and be a proud Black woman, a Black parent of amazing Black young men, and how to raise them as a single mother. My mother grounded me, and I watched her as a child with my brothers. So all of those things now play in my life, who I am. I watched my mother raise 2 boys, and here I am raising 2 boys as a single mother. I watched my mother go back to school later in life. Here I am going back to school later in life. I watched my mother, you know, pursue her own business, and this is the route that I want to go to as well. I watched my mother want the best education for me and immerse me into this diverse culture in school. Now I'm using that as who I am today. So all of those things that I experienced as a child molded me for who I am today. It laid that foundation. So that's why I always think back at the things that I saw my mom do, the things that I saw my grandmother do. And it molded me to be the woman I am today, the mother that I am today, the friend that I am, the sister, the daughter. They basically, that's who they created me to be, and that's who I am.
Excellent. Thank you so much. This is my mom, Danielle Copeland, my inspiration, my motivation, the person that's taught me everything that I know. Thank you so much for your time. Tune in to Chonsey's Perspective of Education. This is episode 2. Peace. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed day, everyone.
It's so hard to fake when everything I do is real. Money and a doggy bag, I ain't missing no meals. Don't move on me wrong, I need to save my energy. Everybody's family, leave it to the industry.